Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and to my left, your right, is Holden from the Bourbon Bar. Cheers, my
Hello,
dude.
everybody.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I know the whole orientation thing. We're like,
I know. It's so confusing because on the computer, you're right here, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You're on my left when I'm looking at you, but I'm pointing at you right now, but really that's not where you are. It's just messed up. But hello, everybody. My name's Holden from the
Cheers.
Bourbon Bar. Glad to be here. Steven sent me some samples here that we're going to be going through. So I'm excited to try these and see what they are.
Bear with me. Have you poured any of them yet?
No, I left the tape on because I did a blind with Independent Joe one time, or I did a battle with him, and he had the tape on it. And at first, I thought that was just for shipping, but then he's like, "Oh, you already took the tape off," and I thought to myself, like, I suppose if I have the tape off, it probably means that I could have cheated and smelt them. So I left the tape on so that people could watch me take them off. But
so first of all, hanging AZ, cheers, man. Nice to see you. How are you doing on this fine? What is this, Wednesday?
Yep.
Noon, or not afternoon, nighttime. This Wednesday nighttime. How the heck are you doing, my guy? Please do us that favor. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment if you're rewatching. So today we are doing not something new. This is something we've been doing since like the creation of whiskey YouTube and drinking as a whole. But we did a sample flight swap. I haven't gotten yours, or if I have, I haven't checked the mail because I'm lazy as hell.
You have it. It's in the mail right now, but I can send you a tracking link.
Oh, well, so I'm not very worried.
I think I'll let you know at the beginning of next week.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I get it, and then just let me know whenever you want me on. Either which way. So we're not doing a blind. He's gonna try these blind because I just want your blind opinions. I don't want you to dig deep into the stats of the bottle or what they are. They're for sure. Okay, maybe not for sure, but I hope you haven't had any four of these bottles, and I honestly really don't think you did. I know you don't have any of these in your collection, but essentially we're swapping some samples to kind of expand our collection or the type of stuff we've tried. Yep. So Holden has a bunch of stuff I haven't tried, especially in your sphere of the world, because you're not Michigan, right?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I know you have some craft up there that I haven't even heard of.
True, yeah. There's some stuff up here. I want to get to the Driftless Glen Distillery. It's probably the biggest one in Wisconsin. And I want to get some bottles there. Stuff there. Yeah, their rye picks are phenomenal.
Yeah, they're 94 proof rye and bourbon, and like I like the rye, the bourbon.
Yeah, but they also have like a wheated one and a port barrel one. They have a lot of stuff there, but then there's a bunch of other stuff around. And I know that there's some stuff that you don't get, or that you don't see very often in Arizona. It's like you don't get New Riff often, do you?
No, we get no New Riff here. We do see a decent amount of Buffalo Trace, which is a big win for like, tatering and whatnot. Yeah. But like, it's not really a huge win in the sense of,
expanding your collection.
Yeah, expanding your collection, because I can only drink freaking Eagle Rare so many times before I just get burnt out, and I'm like, I don't care about Eagle Rare anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I
mean, it's good, but dang, our network is horrible right now. Here, bear with me. Here, I'm gonna shout at someone.
I was wondering why I couldn't see the words. I was in the private chat over here. I was just like, where is everybody? I'm better now. Wisconsin. I'm definitely going to guess that sample bottle A is some type of scotch because it looks like slightly dehydrated urine sample.
Okay. Sorry, I'm back. Our network is barely, barely just good enough for me to upload from my computer. Like, if anyone's watching like anything on like a personal device or like the Xbox in the living room, like it just everything comes out pixelated. I really need to upgrade
Really?
my network.
Yeah, I mean, I look pixelated all the time because my camera setup isn't the best, but I am going to be getting a camera very soon. Once I get to 1,000
Heck yeah.
subscribers was the goal. So, but I also
Mhm.
have a second job now, so the income is growing, and then I'll be getting a better camera. But more importantly, when I move out into a house, I can get a better setup. I can be able to paint my own walls and actually have something other than this tiny shoebox of a room and these ugly white walls or cream
Yeah.
walls. So,
White doesn't like unless if so white is horrible for cameras
mhm,
unless if you want to go for that really bright white look, which I don't
exactly.
love. I like kind of more of a darker
Yeah, and I do
vibe.
too. And the thing is, this room is so small that you can't really cast good shadows and get good lighting because if you turn one light on, you can see everything in the room. The entire room's lit up. So I can't really get that nice balance of light in here very well.
Yeah.
But upgrades in the future, near future.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll be within the probably the first half of this year, I would guess. So
So I'll get caught up on some chats and then I want to ask you what your camera is. Tim Swoop, cheers. Nice to see you, man. Solasta, is it cheaper to buy directly? Hang in. I would check their website. Don't quote me. But last time I checked, I'll be at an event in shit, where is that? It should be cheaper than 64. I think it's 49.99, but don't quote me on that because I don't really deal 100% with the prices. I'm more of the flavor profile kind of guy, but yeah, I'll be working with them at the home show or whatever this Saturday and Sunday. So if any of you guys are in Arizona and going there, you'll see me there. New riff is killer. Yeah, from the one new riff I've had from you, dude, fan freaking tastic.
yeah.
So what camera are you getting? And then we'll get into the first of this exploratory live stream.
Well, I had done some research a little while back, and then I honestly forgot by now. But I'm pretty sure it's a very typical kind of like starter camera. But I'm making sure that I get one that has interchangeable lenses. It's around the camera. I can't remember the name of the camera, unfortunately, but it is regarded as a very good like streaming slash video making camera. It was around $700. The lenses are interchangeable, so you can buy upgraded lenses to really
Yeah.
kind of upgrade everything, which is important for me because I don't want to, have to buy a bunch of cameras. I kind of need a jack of all trades to do, everything that I want to do with it. And I'm pretty broke. Not broke. I shouldn't say I'm broke. I'm saving up for a lot of very expensive things in the near future, wedding,
Yeah.
house, etc. So the thought of purchasing multiple cameras is no bueno. The camera I'm currently using is honestly, it's still my GoPro Hero 5, which
Yeah.
is horrible. I use my iPhone 13 Pro for my videos, like when I post normal videos, but I don't quite know how to get the live streaming to work through StreamYard on the iPhone.
It's a nightmare. I've joined
Yeah.
someone's live stream on my iPhone and it's horrible.
Yeah, and that's
Horrible.
kind of what I was just like, I really don't want to mess with it. My GoPro works fine, not the best quality, but it's just holding me out until I can get that better camera and then go from
So
there. But yeah,
what brand? Is
I
it
think it,
Canon, Sony?
I think it was a Sony. I think it was a Sony.
Sony ZV-1 or A63, 64, 6600?
Uh, Actually, you know what? It might have been a Canon. Is
Okay,
Canon
yeah, the
M50 the camera?
Canon D50 or Mark 50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's is that good or bad?
I've never used it. There's trade-offs. It's
Yeah,
for sure on the lower end, but the nice
right.
thing about going with Canon is that their lenses. So since Canon's such a huge brand, their lenses are easier to find and relatively cheaper. Like I have a Sony and all the lenses are dumb expensive.
Oh
Dumb
yeah, I bet.
expensive.
Yeah.
But like I think Sony's better. And I started with a Sony. I started with a Sony A2000 or something like that, and or
Okay.
A3000, and now I have the 6400, and eventually I want to get the what is that? Not R3. That's a R6 is a Canon. Whatever. The
Yeah,
camera nerds
I
out there, you know what I'm talking about. Shredward. Cheers, man. Nice to see you in here.
sure.
Glad you liked the sample and the Glen. Let me know what you thought about the Calumet 15 because I'm kind of $400. I think it's perfect, perfect, just the way it is. $100, great deal. But like at like 120, 130, I'm like about it. I don't know. That could be me being nitpicky, but
In my opinion, for Calumet 15, I think I got mine for 115, so not a bad price at all. Maybe it was
yeah,
110. I like it. I got a sample of Cal 16 from Independent Joe, and I actually like the 15 better, I think. I haven't placed them head to head,
yeah.
but I had the 16 in a blind, and it didn't score. Yeah, it didn't. I didn't have like blown away remarks by it, but I love like the oak and cherry notes in the Cal 15. So that's my personal opinion, but maybe something I'll have to dive more in depth into in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of want to buy the 16. I think it's like 150 here.
Yeah.
But like it's hard because so the Calumet 15 is easy to find on the shelves for
True.
99.99 here
Oh, really?
at like Total Wines and whatnot. And then the
Yeah.
Calumet 16, it's kind of been popping up, going away, then popping up and going away. But it's like 150 or something. And I'm like, does the extra year really qualitate like or
An extra $50.
quantitate, yeah, an extra like 1.5 times the price. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I've held off on it just because I don't have that kind of money to spend anyways, but also
Mhm.
like it's like
Yeah,
do
and
we
I
really want
think
to do that?
Cal 15 used to be more expensive. Like when it first came out, I think more places had it for like 130. But then once Cal 16 came out, they kind of lowered the price of Cal 15 down to like one, or at least from the places around me, they lowered it like another $15 from where it was. So
Yeah, I
maybe
think
that'll happen with the 16, and then you can buy it then. But
it's probably because it got, for lack of better words, old. Maybe
yeah,
like it was no longer a hit item, and they weren't selling them as fast. I don't know.
true.
They're releasing some weird stuff though. I saw like a 10-year-old the other day, and I was like,
Yeah, with the blue label. I was
yeah,
gonna buy one of those, and then I passed on it because it was in the midst of getting a bunch of really expensive bottles
yeah.
recently. Um, but yeah, I mean, I saw it. I thought about buying it, but I knew that Calumet, the older Calumet, or sorry, I should say the younger Calumet stuff, aren't notoriously as
Right.
good as the other ones. So
Mhm.
I passed.
I just realized, like, dude, literally, Angel's Envy, that Old Fitz, and that Parker's Heritage, that's literally the camera.
I know. I know.
Decisions.
I I saw these two at the same time at the same store, and it was an absolute. I literally had off of work because it snowed too much. So it was a snow day from work. So I decided I'm gonna drive around to the liquor stores. Popped in. Both those were sitting behind the counter with a Larceny barrel proof, the A123.
Mhm.
I bought those two, passed on the Larceny, but I bought those two. And then after taxes, the bill was like $450, and I was like, ouch. But
It went on the credit card.
yeah, right. I actually don't have a credit card.
No.
Fun fact, but they're so good. It's so worth it, especially like maybe if I already had them on the shelf or I've tried them before, maybe I wouldn't have bought them. But they're so hard to find and cool bottles to have that like I really
Mhm.
enjoy having them. And the Parker's Heritage was my number 2 of the year, so it's
Please tell
really
me you
good.
sent me a sample of that. I've never had a Parker's Heritage.
I didn't only because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure the caliber that we were sending, but if you want to do if you want it, because honestly, I'm perfectly fine with sharing like some
I
of my
don't have a
good
lot of
stuff.
bottles that are at that caliber. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I live in the world of like 60 to 80.
yeah.
'Cause
Honestly,
anything more than that, like usually you start losing value and it's just like
and
I
I agree.
I happily drink Wild Turkey 101 on most days. Like a nicer pour is like 60, 70, and that's like where I call it at. Even though I'm a whiskey
Yeah,
nerd and I want to try all these like crazy things, and trust me, if I saw that for like a reasonable price, you bet your ass I would buy it too. But like
right.
I haven't seen it for a reasonable price, and I'm not going to buy it for an unreasonable price.
One of the main things that gets me is I feel like a collector just as much as I'm a bourbon enthusiast. Like I really, really, really want to try it, but also getting that bottle that I'm probably maybe never gonna see again ever in my entire life, and getting it and having it on my shelf. It's a like collector's aspect that I feel is
Mhm.
very fun for me. That's why I
Yeah.
hunt. I honestly go to the liquor store like every day after the gym. It's work, gym, liquor store, and then sometimes other work. But I always stop at the liquor store just to check, see what they got. But
Y'all can tone that down with the wedding coming up, right?
yeah, yep,
Yeah, because that's where I'm at. I'm 3 months in or 3 months out. Yeah, 3 months
yep,
out, and I'm like, "Okay, I need to not buy any whiskey for the next 3 months." I bought a
yeah.
handle of Wild Turkey 101, and that should last me the rest of the month.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
That's where
honestly,
I'm
it's
at.
funny. I don't drink as much whiskey off screen,
Mhm,
mainly because I'm always dieting and nothing ruins a diet like drinking alcohol. But also just because, like, I get to drink so much when I'm on screen and I get to do the fun kind of drinking where I'm playing games or comparing them against each other and less of like sitting down. I will sit down with a glass and I have like a tasting book and I'll do like in-depth tastings. But when it comes to just drinking straight up whatever, I really only do that if I'm at like a party or something, or I go
mhm.
to someone's house, I'll just grab a bottle of Turkey 101 or Elijah Craig small batch and just a rocks glass even, and I'll just have a pour when I'm at someone's house or playing poker on Friday nights.
Mhm.
So that's kind of that.
Yeah, I need to get better at that, not just casually drinking. And
Yeah.
yeah, hanging, that is a little bit on the expensive side for that. I think 49.99 is pretty appropriately priced, but you know, inflation be like that. But yeah, he hasn't raised his prices because the inflation hasn't hit yet. It's gonna hurt in like 2 or 3 years when all the prices have to skyrocket because the barrels and the production of that whiskey costs a lot. So that's
Oh
kind of when his prices are going to raise. Because I brought that up to him because I was like, yeah, it's kind of crazy that you haven't raised your prices. Um, she went to Ireland to get some bottles. I bet if she's in Ireland, she's gonna get a crap ton of whiskey.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. 15 in a store pick. No, I have not hanging. David Base. Cheers. Nice to freaking see you, man. Nice to see everyone. What are we all drinking tonight? Holden, what do you think of the first one? Pour A. Have you poured
I
A?
haven't poured it yet. Nope.
Oh,
I was sipping on some Bookers, trying to get past the neck pour. So before I do a review.
got it. I'm going to be relatively sober today because I have to go drive to the airport in like an hour.
Mm. All right. I'm definitely thinking it's going to be a Scotch or some kind of single malt.
Potentially.
Oh, wow, it's fruity.
Yeah, you don't have to try to guess what it is, by the way. There's no judgment here. I just want to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it smells very sweet. Very sweet and fruity, like stone fruit starburst type
Ooh, like
fruitiness.
the all like an earthy all pink starburst. I kind of like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, definitely smells like light. Granted, I did just come off of
water.
Booker's, so
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. We'll also
but
look at the
the
color.
carbonated water, yeah, the
Jeff,
color is like
why? Cheers, man.
very, very light. Like one more glass of water and it would have been clear coming out the other end, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah, mine looks super clear. It looks darker on your camera than
Oh yeah, probably.
like
My camera is not advanced enough to get the correct.
holding it up to the light. It literally, yeah,
Yeah,
like it is
yeah.
barely.
I see what you're saying with the earthiness, though. It definitely has some like earthy notes. Man, I just can't get the like. It's so sweet, but yeah, I'm trying on palate.
Ooh. Peter, I hope so. Olivia should be flying out here. But maybe she's not. Maybe I'm just going to waste my time driving her to the airport. Do people not remember when Stephen... Do people not... What? Hang on, what are you referencing?
You probably meant lives.
Oh, loves? Yeah, that's what I love, man. Sorry. I'm literally like Dare right now. I'm squirreling the hell out of life. I'm so like not unhinged, but like I'm just all over the place.
This has like
Zipper. Evan Williams 1783.
This is definitely like some kind of malted something or another. It has like I want to say it honestly tastes. I don't know. I haven't had enough scotch or really malted whiskey in general to pull out a peat note, but it's got, I don't know if that's peat that I'm tasting or if it's, but it's kind of like iodine-y almost on the palate. I don't know if iodine's even the right word for it. It's got like
I would say it's slightly smoky, maybe a little briny.
Metallic-y, like briny would be the word. It's actually not bad though. I'm just getting used to that that kind of smoky briny taste. Which is odd that I didn't get any of it on the nose, although now going back into it, I can pick up a little bit of it, but I'm going to have to search for some sweeter notes that I'm getting on the nose and the palate because I'm getting accustomed to that kind of off note compared to what I normally drink, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, all 4 of these are going to be different categories and they're gonna be different from what you've had,
which is awesome because that's what I want to be able to do.
Yeah, Jeff, luckily Bruno did not break any bottles today. He tried to, and yeah, an Isla fan. Yep, and this is an Isla Scotch.
It is. Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely like briny, smoky, but on the palate, on the nose, not as much. After drinking it, it can appear on the nose, but on the nose, it kind of comes off as that sweet pink starburst that I was getting, kind of a juicy fruit type vibes in it. Within the palate, turns into like a briny, smokiness. I gotta search for other notes quick.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if this is peated at all, though. Hey, someone in chat, did someone hack the F? Oh, I hope not. That would be horrible. So this is the Bruichladdich Isla Barley 2012. So this is an 8-year-old Scotch, single malt Scotch from Isla. Okay. And it's from my favorite Isla distillery, Bruichladdich.
Bruichladdich.
Yeah, but honestly, this one, if this is at all peated, it's slightly peated. But I honestly just think it's like kind of the terroir or whatever the area they like age this stuff, or maybe the peat smoke coming into the actual like grain or whatever as it like grows and lives in that area. Because compared to like a normal peated Bruichladdich, this is nothing. I mean, these are the guys who make Octomore, for Christ's sakes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Bruichladdich made Octomore. I knew they make like Port Charlotte, the classic Laddie, right? And then I didn't know they're the ones who made Octomore. I've had the opportunity to buy multiple Octomores, but for someone who doesn't buy a lot of scotch, like spending that much money on it was probably not a financially smart decision, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But this is really good, actually. I've liked more and more of that like scotch taste recently within the past like half a year or so. I've kind of been diving and trying to taste more scotch. I like this. It's really good. How much is that bottle on? Like, I know the Brook Lottie, like the Port Charlotte and the Classic Lottie around me, they're around $60.
I would expect it to be about the same.
About the same.
Around there. I got it for $49.99 at Costco, but I think
Okay.
usually it's around $60. I think it is a great, like slightly is a better buy than Octomore. Yeah, Peter. That's my opinion too. I think it's, I don't know. Again, it's just better value. Like Port Charlotte is a solid peated 10-year-old Scotch. Is Octomore better? Maybe, maybe not. But it's like 9 times the price.
Right. Yeah, I know. I just know a lot of people talk about
Yeah.
Octomore, so I'm like, is it good? Is it Octomore that good, or is it Buffalo Trace? I've always been interested in the Classic Lottie, and I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
This
even
is
sure
a
if
slightly
it's
better version of the Classic Lottie to me.
okay. I like the blue. Honestly, I like the blue
Oh yeah.
container comes in, and I like the fact that it says Lottie. Lauren and I are watching Outlanders right now. Outlander. I don't know if you've seen it, but it literally
Maybe, probably. I watch a
takes
lot of
place
TV.
in Scotland, and everyone talks in Scottish accents and drinks scotch and that kind of stuff. So it's very like fun show to watch, and then drink scotch with it. But I like that. That was a really good first starter here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of put this in a row that kind of gradually gets more and more, we'll call it
it looks like they get darker and darker.
Yeah, the last one is dark as hell compared.
Yeah, bourbon maybe, or rye, something American, I guess.
Octomore. So there are Octomore duds, Octomore duds, and that is a wallet buster. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. So again, my comment was coming from someone who's never had Octomore. So am I educated enough to say things? No. Do I still say things? You bet your sweet ass I do. Because that's just who I am. That being said, like I would buy an Octomore if it was under probably like $200.
I'm trying to think of what I've seen them at. What do they retail at?
I don't know. I've never even thought I would be able to buy one, so I don't engage in the whole like, hey, where can I find things secondary, paying secondary prices at a liquor store. I just don't do it. I have no time or energy for that.
Honestly, I haven't paid secondary. Honestly, the only bottles that I've ever paid secondary for are one of my Larceny barrel proofs, and two of my Bookers. And the Bookers, they were like $10 over secondary. And honestly, most people charge like $10 over retail, and most people charge like 40 over retail. So it's like still a good deal. But all these guys on this shelf retail. This was 170. This was 230. This was 220, and then the Russell's 13 was 130. Which actually, I think 130
retail is like $60 for Russell's 13.
Is it really? Then I paid over retail for that.
Yeah.
But honestly, secondary is like 800, so I think it's still a dub.
Yeah, we should never vouch anything on what secondary prices are. Go ahead and pour number 2 though, because we will need to speed this up a wee bit.
Yeah, okay. I got two in the glass. I just poured it like 2 minutes ago. So
Peter White, I've only had Octomore sample 6.3 was really good at 125 Canadian. They are in the mid 200s now. Okay. But I think that like, because I think Canadian money is worth less than US money. So
it's pretty close, I think, right?
Okay, is it close?
I think it's not like 2 to 1. I think it's closer to like 1 to 1.1 or 1.2 or something. I don't really
Okay.
know. I probably Google it. Or you know what? Peter probably knows. He can tell us.
Yeah.
Peter.
Peter probably knows the transition fees. Ooh. So going from A to B, what's your like initial thoughts?
B is. I thought A was fruity. B is so sweet and fruity, and the fruit is more like berries and a little bit of like citrus. I don't know if citrus is the right word, but it's very sweet. B is very sweet on the nose.
Mhm.
Um, it still seems a bit light, like compared to like other things. Um, Man, it smells so maybe like has some rye in it. I don't know if herbaceous is the right word. um, Honestly, I'm very confused on what I'm smelling because it's not something I typically drink. Very fruity though.
Yeah, none of these are gonna be something you typically drink. I saw
Yeah,
your entire collection. You have
I have a type.
nothing that is like anything I sent you. Because you would drink a lot of like Kentucky bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of rye here or there, but like mostly it's Kentucky bourbon. Okay. Thank you, hanging in Peter. Um yeah, 200 plus. Everything's like that though. I think you can get scotch cheaper in Canada due to lack of regulations, if I remember. Yeah, that would make sense. There's too many import regulations.
Okay, so this one has after taking a sip of it, I got some like spice on the back end. Like in the
Mhm.
finish, definitely came across with some. I'm not sure what kind of spice yet, but it had some spice on it. Sweet up front, but once it went through the back, it finished with some spice. And now going back on the nose,
Like a chocolate cinnamon,
yeah, it's kind
sweet
of got
chocolate,
like
like that
I want to
spicy
say
paprika chocolate almost.
right, like it's kind of like a I don't want to call it a bready note because it's not as bready as like a weeder that I like. You know, I get bready notes
Mhm.
like weeder sometimes, but it has like a slight breadiness on the nose after drinking it. At the beginning, I didn't get it at all, but
Yeah,
uh,
I can explain to you what that note is, but I want you to figure out what the bottle is. Or well, you'll understand what that note is when you figure out what the bottle is. Jeez Louise, words don't work. Number 2 back to bourbon.
yeah,
Not
no,
exactly, Jeff.
it has like it has really enjoyable notes. Um, yeah, the chocolate note that you said is definitely coming through on this on that second sip.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of light fruits, chocolatey, brown sugar. And then you're right, the end does get kind of like woodsy and
yeah,
like
right.
spicy with like a huge chocolatey. And then another note I want to say, but like, or actually that one note kind of starts about mid palate and just kind of wraps around the whole thing. That you're saying is a bready note, but I have another word to say for it. But
Is it malty?
yeah.
Yeah, the malt is very misplaced for me because I have a 0 to 100 on my malt meter.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever had Dragon's Milk Origin.
No, not at all.
I thought about sending it to you because it's literally one of the maltiest things I've ever put in my mouth. It kind of tastes like you're drinking a beer. It's from Dragon's Milk, which makes like the barrel aged stouts.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
What is it? Is it just a bourbon?
it's a bourbon, but the mash bill is like has a crazy amount of barley in it.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if it says a mash bill on the bottle here, but it's got like I'm pretty sure it's got like 50% corn and like 35 or 40% malted barley in it. Um, I'd probably look up the stats, but it's very malty, like over malty.
Mhm.
And then my secondary malt meter is like New Riff malted rye has some malt in it, but very very light. light malt.
Yeah.
Um,
That New Riff malted rye, that's like kind of a malted rye in a sense, throws me off. Like I understand malted barley really well, but that's about it. Yeah, hanging AZ. It's like spicy, like paprika, cinnamon, malt balls, like fruity paprika, cinnamon malt balls with a touch of oak, which makes no sense when I say it out like that. But Four Leaf, cheers. When did you get in here? Did I miss you? Cheers. Thank you. Welcome for coming in. We missed you. We thought you were gone. Yeah,
cheers,
that was great. That New Riff malted rye is great. It's just it hits so much differently than like a malted barley. So like when you think
Oh
malt,
yeah,
you think they should be super similar, but like it doesn't
yeah.
work like that. It does
My
not work like that.
my malted rye. I don't know if you watched my top 25 video, but the malted. I had like tears when I started it. I literally blinded everything, all 25 whiskeys, and the malted
Mhm.
rye started in the bottom tier, like the bottom fifth, five like bottles. Um, it worked its way all the way up to like number 5 or like number 4, I think, which is
And
absolutely crazy.
that was a New Riff malted rye.
What's that?
Was that the New Riff malted rye?
Yeah, the New Riff malted
Okay.
rye. It literally beat out Angel's Envy, Old Fitzgerald, and Master's Keep. Like, it did insanely well, but
Mhm.
I was surprised, basically.
Well, the
Um,
big brother, that's what I'll call it. The big brother of the bottle you're currently drinking was my favorite bottle this year.
Really? Oh, crap. I watched your video.
Yeah, sorry. I watch your videos sometimes, but I'm horrible at commenting, and I'm also not great at constantly watching your videos
Oh, yeah. No,
or
honestly, I'm
with
so
anyone.
busy. I want to watch, like, your videos and Independent Joe and literally every other person that, like, I'm friends with. It's so hard to find time between, like, both jobs and everything, and then doing YouTube on the side is, like, impossible. But I
Yeah,
know
I'm
once
on
you
the
tell me what
side,
this
and then
is,
I'm working 7 days a week for 2 weeks out of the 4 weeks this month.
yeah. It smells good. That maltiness, I like. I do like malt and all the like the malted things I've had before.
Westland.
Westland.
Here, I mean, my autofocus is off, but maybe I'll be able to get it closer with. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is Westland American Single Malt Whiskey. This is their non-peated stuff. This is a 92 proof American single malt from Seattle, Washington. And I love that stuff. This is probably my favorite, like, Pacific Northwest single malt producer, because there's
I've
actually, like, ironically quite a few in, like, Seattle,
yeah.
Washington, or
I've never had Washington distillate before. Is it Washington distillate? Is it
yeah,
distilled in Washington?
yeah. So it's distilled in Seattle, Washington, and then there's Westward, I believe, is in, where is that stuff? I think it's in Oregon, and then I have some other Oregon single malts and stuff. Yeah, Four Leaf. I need to try the Sherry Wood. I have a single barrel pick, which was my favorite from this year. Or I don't. It's not a single barrel pick. It's just a single barrel, but it's finished in Oloroso Sherry Butt. Oh my god, it's like boozy raisins and goodness. It is phenomenal. It was hands down my favorite bottle this year, or last year, 2022.
Yeah. I really like the evolution of that on the palate. I like the sweet up front, mid palate with the malt, and then in the finish bringing that spiced chocolate and like
Yeah, I think the finish, or like the back half of the palate and the finish, are my favorite. That like
yeah,
chocolatey, spicy note, but then
yeah,
it's not like, usually when you get something that's like chocolatey and spicy, it's like too much. But
mhm,
because the front half is so sweet and fruity, it isn't like overwhelming at all. It's just like
right.
you said, it's a nice solid evolution.
It's like honestly, it's literally a whole 2 seconds or 3 seconds after you swallow, and then like you breathe a couple times, and like that chocolate and spice kind of follows up your lungs and up your esophagus back into your palate, which is crazy. So I like that a lot.
Do you see any of the whistling stuff in your area?
I don't. Which is probably why I
Dang.
didn't remember what your number one whiskey was, because
Oh
I
yeah,
have no
you
idea
probably zoned it out.
what that brand is. I don't know if like how much single malt American whiskey Wisconsin gets, because my biggest liquor store around here is Woodman's, which I go to quite often. But um, you know, I don't really know where they would stock American single malt, because they have a
Mhm.
rye section, a bourbon section, and a Scotch section, right? And Scotch is usually just a Scotch, and they also have an Irish and Canadian, but like
Do they have an
usually,
American whiskey section? Because usually I'll find it in like the American whiskey section. Because in most of the liquor stores I go to, it's like an American whiskey section, and
okay.
then there's like the flavored American whiskey, and so
Oh,
like
right.
they kind of separate those two. Like the American whiskey section, it's like half flavored, half like stuff that can't be categorized as bourbon or rye, but is
Yeah.
still American whiskey, but is actually good whiskey. So
Hmm.
that's where you'll find the weird stuff, because there's only
Yeah.
so many American single malts out there.
Right. Yeah. And it seems to be that they do a good job. I haven't had enough Scotch to compare it to like single malt Scotch, but single malt American whiskey, like, or just malt American whiskey or whatever, American single malt, I guess is the right term for it. But I know there's like a section in the middle. It's not designated. It's just there's a
Mhm.
rye right here, the bourbon's right here, and then in the middle you have like the flavored stuff. And honestly, there's some stuff from India, I think, there, and some other stuff. But I've never really looked much in that section because it's all where the flavored stuff is. So I kind of like skim over it. I'm gonna have to check that out more though. I know we don't get a lot of Texas whiskey, which you do get a lot of Texas
Eh,
whiskey, right? You get like, um, is Iron Root, is that Texas or is that
yes.
Arizona? It's Texas. I've never seen Iron Root in Wisconsin. The only Texas whiskey in Wisconsin that I usually see is Balcones, and
Well,
I've never.
Balcones is good. Balcones. So if you want to get an American single malt, Balcones lineage, it's like 34 bucks here, and it is phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah,
I'll have to check that
it's
out.
awesome. And it's probably the best budget in American single malts, because a lot of the cheaper American single malts are garbage. So
Hmm.
I have a few comments I wanted to get caught up on. Jeff, love American single malts as well. Westland trying to start their own peat bog for their peated whiskey. Yeah, I need to try their peated stuff. I've only had their unpeated stuff, and their finished unpeated stuff at Cash Strength was, damn, that was great. But I want to try their peated stuff next, because I just think it'd be interesting, because their stuff is really really great. I don't think it necessarily needs peat, but I would like to see it with it.
Right. I mean, if they can do it this good without Pete,
Yeah,
hopefully they can do it that good with Pete.
yeah. Peat changes things. Sometimes not always for the best, but it'd be
I
like
really
that.
like Ardbeg 10. I mean,
Yeah,
what I mean is I haven't had a lot of peated Scotch, but one of the peated Scotches that I really enjoy is Ardbeg 10, and also I like Highland Park 12. That was really good. I've only had that one once, so.
yeah. So Jeff, where was I at? Um, so what are the two East Coast American single malts that you think are great? I know a lot of West Coast stuff and some Arizona stuff, some Texas stuff, some Colorado stuff, but I think, like, honestly, like, here, let's turn around. Yep, everything. I know. I have that song stuck in my head from Battlefield every time I hear it. Virginia Distilling Co. I have something from them. It's like a blend of Scotch and American single malt. But outside of that, like, everything I have is from like my side of the country.
Hmm.
Peter, it just be like that. It just be like that, because the other side is like the east side of the country. It's all like Kentucky. It's bourbon century. Like,
Yeah. anything on the east side of the middle of America, it's just Kentucky. And from a bourbon
Mhm.
standpoint,
It's just
this is all the
Kentucky.
other states, and this is Kentucky.
Yeah.
We know most people still believe that bourbon has to be made in Kentucky.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. It
Very common
gives me a
misconception.
little aneurysm.
I know. They're just like, I'm like, oh, I just got this new bourbon. They're like, oh, from Kentucky? And I'm like, no, from Wisconsin. They're like, you can't have bourbon in Wisconsin. And I'm
Right?
like, okay.
It's like, okay, guys. Um, Sacred Stave American Single Malt from Phoenix area is assy. It's not the best. It's could use a little bit work, Chief. Like it I need to try their cash strength finish stuff before I make a huge decision on it. But like even for $24, it's so blah, blah, blah.
Are you talking about the TX brand?
Those in TX are the biggest known. I have not had TX American Single Malt. I didn't know they made them. Yep, four leaf. I got the American Single Malts. You got the Irish. Although I feel like you've tried just as much American Single Malt as I have. Courage and Conviction is made in Virginia, and Bear Fight is here in North Carolina. I need to get some Bear Fight whiskey just because I love the name. I will literally buy it. I mean, solely on you endorsing them as quality whiskey and the name. I want some. Yep, super romantic. Courage and Conviction also had Nancy the Nose help. Oh, yeah. I need to get some of their stuff too.
Nancy also
Yeah.
does Wisconsin's J. Henry and Sons.
She has helped so many people. I know. So she did, because I did a review of the Still Austin stuff, and she left a
Yeah,
comment on that, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we set it up like this," and I was like, "Wait, you did this?" And I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay,
She
cool."
I saw on her Instagram she posted and Still Austin, J. Henry and Sons, and there's like one other one where the three distilleries that she's been blending at the longest. And J. Henry is
Mhm.
just like probably I would say the second biggest Wisconsin distillery. I mean, if Driftless Glen is here, J. Henry is still down here, but it's still well
Yeah.
above all the other distilleries. J. Henry is putting out some good stuff, and even J. Henry's limited editions in Wisconsin sell out pretty fast at like $120, which is
Yeah.
insane. But it's all like Wisconsin grown grains and stuff like that, and it's like 100% Wisconsin made bourbon. So it's really cool that Nancy does like stuff with them. So
Jeff, hit me up via email. My email should be in the description below because I'd be interested. Thank you. So since we gotta get kind of running and we're only halfway through the bottles, pour glass C for me.
I did. I've been
Okay,
cheating.
cool. You're already
I figured you needed to hurry along, and I'm like, I can try to get some notes
like
while
we
you're
gotta
talking
shut
and
this
stuff.
down by 7:15 my time, so
8:15, my turn.
25 minutes from now.
Okay.
And I think the last two, so even though the last one I think was like a really good pour, the next two are like they're the shining stars. We're getting to higher proof now.
Okay. Okay.
Hanging, I don't know about that. I'm not a doctor, but I know so from a kind of evolutionary standpoint, I mean, women were usually the gatherers while the men were the hunters and like old timey stuff. And to be the gatherers, you had to understand colors better as well as smells. So through that, yes, but I'm also not a scientist, nor am I even remotely qualified to speak on that.
One thing that I've noticed personally is when Lauren is drinking whiskey with me, sometimes she'll name the most out of pocket tasting notes like celery or
Mhm.
burnt carrots or some weird random shit. But other times I'll be stumped, I'll put it in her face and she'll be like, it's coconuts. and I'll smell it, and I'll be damned if she isn't right. Like it's literally coconuts in the glass, and I'm like so shocked that she gets stuff like that sometimes. But like it's only on the nose. I mean, she drinks it, and I don't think she's quite past the alcoholic point yet. There's some of them that she really enjoys. A lot of double oaked products, Woodford Reserve products. But some of the harsher ones she really can't get past, like that intense flavor. But her nose seems to be quite toned in for the most part. But on glass or on sample C, in the nose, I'm definitely getting, I want to say like a little bit of like a black pepper, or an herbaceous, like I want to say there's like a dill in here. I swear I smell something along the lines, not of like, you're gonna laugh at me, but I'm gonna say it, zucchini. It's an odd note, but I literally eat zucchini every day, and I have eaten zucchini every day for the last 2.5 years because it's one of my main meals in my diet. And there's like a little bit of like a weird zucchininess in the nose, but not in a bad way. It's like a refreshing type, like I don't know, like something vegetal.
I totally get a vegetal standpoint. Also, sorry to hear about Jeff Beck. I just looked at that myself. Not a clue who he was, but like, cheers to you, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know, but wow.
Man, I really like that. That's weird. I haven't had this one in a while. That is a funky experience. Funky. Ooh. I know why it's so weird. I kind of enjoy this because I get to I have an inside scoop in what's going down, and you're just experiencing things.
Yeah. So actually, for the nose, the vegetal note isn't off-putting. It is very nice. I think that like that black pepper kind of makes it's kind of more of like a savory nose, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's more, it's earthy, it's savory, it's not very sweet, which is kind of weird coming from Westland, which was a little bit more like super desserty, chocolatey. This has no chocolate in it. There's no huge fruit explosion. This is
absolutely
peppery, it's spicy, maybe even a little bit smoky.
Yeah, on the back end, I'm definitely getting some like some spices in there, and I can see what you're saying about the smokiness. I was gonna point that out. In the palate, there's just a bit of smokiness in it. Not like anything overpowering, but I can see like where smoke would come into play.
Peter, so this is coming from a guy who enjoys listening to Taylor Swift more than Metallica or whatever. We've had that conversation over. We don't need to get into it right now. But what was he in? What would I know him from? Because even though I do have a basic sense of what I like and listen to or whatever, I've heard a lot of, I'm pretty decently cultured in music. I would say decently. So what would I know from him? I'm torn if I really like this one or not. It's different.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like I have a lot of bottles that they're not my go-to. It's not my profile, but I super enjoy them when I'm craving something of that profile, and sometimes you're eating a meal and you're like, this bottle will go great with this meal, and it does because it's a different profile than you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, because I like bourbon so much, like getting off stuff like this where it's like kind of funkier is super entertaining for me to explore. And it's not in a bad way. It's like it's just different, but not bad.
Peter, I have no idea who the Yardbirds are. And hanging, that is like a pin that we need to get at eventually. I don't know. The issue with launching a merch store is it requires capital. So hopefully the channel will become more self-sufficient, because getting monetized was the first step of becoming self-sufficient. And now that we are monetized, we need to get more monetized. So the channel needs to grow a little bit more. And then with that, I should be able to start investing a little bit more into the channel and whatnot. because eventually I know like the merch will pay for itself. It's just the startup capital is a little bit harder than ones may think.
True. I definitely feel. Um, I honestly like. I have my Patreon set up now, and I got a couple Patreons and or a couple patrons, and like I'm just getting to that point where like I really want to start getting like bourbon bar glasses that people can buy and purchase for me. But at the moment, I don't have enough capital to buy in bulk, and when I'm buying single glasses, these cost $25 a glass. So if I'm shipping it out, that's an extra $10. So in order for me to make any kind of money on it, I'd have to sell it for over 35, which at that point I wouldn't, because I just it's more so that people have the opportunity to have one than it is for people. But then again, who's gonna pay $35 for one Glencairn?
Yeah.
You know? And so I feel your struggle on that.
Yeah, like I have outside of the ones that I've used, because I have quite a few that I used. I have probably like 6 or 7 of my own Glencairns that I've used. I
Yeah.
have like 20 branded ones that I've just been sitting around collecting dust. I've been doing giveaways here or there with them, but like I can't launch a store to sell, or I probably could, but I don't know. There's too many things that are consuming my money nowadays. I don't really have the let's call it the luxury or the comfortability to send it with certain things. I don't
Right.
know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like it's funny because I'm saving up for a house, and so for a house, I need a down payment. But
In theory.
in theory,
Yeah.
in order to get non-crappy rates. But I'm working a second job, and at that second job, I'm making like 1,000 to 1,500 extra dollars a month. That's just pure savings. Now, if I wasn't saving
Yeah.
up for a house, or once I get the house and pay some other stuff off, I'll be able to like use that money toward YouTube stuff a little bit anyway. Like 1 month and I have literally an incredibly nice camera. 2 months I have a nice camera and some merch, and then 3 months I have all of the whiskey that I need for like half the year. You know, so it's just one of those things. Like I'm working my ass off, but capital is so hard to come by when you have other things that you need to buy.
Oh yeah. No, like that's just one of those life things. Um so as far as this bottle, what do you think about it? Because this is not bad, but it's so different.
Yeah, I like it in the sense that it's different. I like pulling out those weird tasting notes. I like the black pepper and the herbaceousness and the vegetal nose. The finish comes across a lot more earthy and a lot more dirt forward, I guess you could say. Not necessarily a bad way, but in like, it's earthy. It's not like you're eating dirt, but it's earthy. It has some spice in it as well. So it actually isn't horrible. I don't know if it would be my first choice off of the shelf for, a night where I'm just sipping whiskey, but I could find a time and a place to drink this and not be disappointed. So,
Yeah, I haven't had this in forever, and I think it's the slightly smokiness that kind of throws it off.
yeah, yeah. Like it hasn't decided yet if it wants to be smoky or if it doesn't want to be smoky, but like it's there, but it's not a defining trait, I guess, of like what it has to offer. So,
Yeah. And the reason why it's like that is because this is barrel vatted malt. So this is barrels malt, American single malt. It's the only American blended malt that I'm tracking exists. So this is a blend of so man, I'd have to get on the internet to figure out exactly. Distilled in New York, Texas. I know the Texas is Balcones. New
okay.
Mexico. I know there's a New Mexico distillery that does American single malts really well. I just forgot their name. Washington. I'm assuming that means Westland. And then, so the product we just had previous to this,
Right.
assuming again, if anyone's out there and wants to Google search it, please do me the favor. And then AZ, and I know the AZ is Delbach. which they do a mesquite smoked American single malt. They also do a non-smoked one, but because of how smoky it is, I think they use the mesquite smoked because it's kind of like a where number one was kind of like sea salty, briny, and had
Yeah.
this like slightly like salty iodine vibe. The mesquite smoked, it gets very earthy. It gets like very, very dense, earthy, dark, and that kind of has that's like that like underlying note because smoke is so aggressive, it takes over everything. So it's hard as heck to blend it. And I think they blended the smoked mesquite smoked stuff.
That would make sense. It's like I said, it's not bad. I haven't had much from Barrel. You sent me samples, I think last year, well, about a year ago. It was two samples. One of the thing is, it's funny.
I forgot that.
I lost whatever tag said they were, but I knew for sure that one of them was Barrel Seagrass. I have no idea what the other one was, but I cracked them open the other like not too long ago, and they're both really good, but they were good enough where I know that I would like Barrel Seagrass if I bought it. But that's the only other Barrel product that I've had, and then this is the second one, so not bad, just different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they do a pretty decent job in blending. And I think their prices were a little bit asinine to begin with, but they've actually gone down in my area because they were 90 to 100. Now they're around 85 bucks in my area
Okay.
for all of their products. So their prices have actually gone down in the last few months and haven't raised with everything else. So I think they kind of just went a little bit expensive to begin with, and I think now they're priced appropriately, and I like
Right.
Barrel.
Yeah, I
I
definitely
think they're doing
think.
good. I like Dovetail. I like Seagrass. I like that. That's weird, very weird. I like to get their most recent batch because this is an old batch. I bought this in Tucson. This is from 2019, and I bought it 2022. Yeah, early
Okay.
2022 or late 2021. Either which way, it was quite a few years old.
Yeah,
Jeff,
yeah, I
thank
mean,
you.
yeah, they started off, I think, kind of trying to be a premium brand, which I
Yeah.
don't like it when people do, Basil Hayden, Whistle Pig, like there's no reason for you to be charging a premium price for product that's the same as everything else. But for a better price, I definitely think this is worth exploring if it's something that you like. If you like that weird, interesting profile, it's definitely good. Whether I would buy a bottle of it, if I had money to waste, I definitely would because I like it. It's not actually bad. If I would spend that money though on the bottle, um, right now, is on the edge for me.
Yeah, so I think this is like a 90 or 85. I haven't seen this on the shelves ever though. Like
I
the one
haven't
time I
either, actually.
saw it on the shelves, I bought it because I that honestly, this was the bottle that kicked off my whole American single malt journey pretty much. Like
Really?
I had the Del Bach because Arizona got to support everyone and whatnot,
Right.
but like I didn't really deep delve them. And then I tried that, and then I got some Westward. I got the Westland. I got into some Texas whiskey, and naturally, getting into Texas whiskey, you got to try Balcones. And then I found out I don't really care for Balcones bourbon, but I love the heck out of their American single malts. They are dark, they are dense, they are very Texasy, but man, oh man, are they freaking good.
Yeah, I think my father-in-law basically just got the Balcones bourbon, but I'll have to tell him to check out the Balcones single malts and the other one that you were talking about. It's called the what's the really good one that you were talking about from Balcones? It's like
Oh,
Lineage, right?
oh
Lineage.
yeah, yeah. So this bad boy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that on the shelves. It's definitely in Wisconsin here. So
Yeah, this is $35 for an American single malt, which is crazy, like it's an incredible, crazy, great value for American single malt. Is it the best American single malt out there? No, but also I don't know of a good American single malt that's $35. This is very light and bright for Texas, but
mhm.
I think it's really good. I think
Okay,
it's a great budget pour for American single malt, if that makes
right,
sense. Because most of this
yeah,
American single malt, like the cheap American single malts in the realm of like 70, 60, $70, maybe 50. And
yeah.
then the more expensive stuff is around like the 110, 120. As far as just like normal stuff, like picks are like usually like I have a bunch of Balcones, not a bunch, I have one. What am I talking about? I have one Balcones pick and it's 110. My Westland pick was like 110. I have a bunch of Del Bach picks. They're usually around 90 to $100. That's just the nature of cash strength American single malts.
Yeah, I think once the brand or once the category gets more popular, I think it'll probably go down. But right now, I think distillers are taking a risk when they're distilling single malts, American single malts, because they're not going to sell as well as American bourbons, obviously, or even Scotch, because nobody really trusts the American single malt brand. But once they get a name for themselves, hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll come down. Because I can't imagine that distilling barley is that much more expensive than distilling corn.
Well, the prices of whatnot are, if anything, I would expect it to happen like what barrel happened. Things are never going to go down. They're
Right.
just gonna the market's
Everything else
gonna
is going to
move
go up.
them. Yeah, like what was $50 when I got into whiskey is now 60, 65, 70, somewhere around there. And like it's only gonna grow. She ain't
Oh,
stopping,
absolutely.
Chief. Mr. Whiskey Shits. Cheers, man. Stranahan single barrel cash strength that's 55 and amazing. Yeah, that's the only other value. Like, yeah, Balcones lineage and Stranahan single barrel picks. Those are the two like value American single malts.
Is
Like
Stranahan
outside
that
of
good?
those two, there's no values anywhere. Everything is just like it's kind of pricey, but it's all very, very good. Like I'm so cheap and I own so much American single malt because I think it's better than bourbon. I think it can cover a bigger spectrum than bourbon can. And I like trying new things. I like
Yeah,
exploring new things. I like seeing new realms. And I think bourbon's kind of stuck in this like smaller category because of the realities of, well, the classification or the distinction of what bourbon is. It kind of shoehorns itself. Like American single malts, it just means it's like an American malt that's at least 50% malt, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. I
right.
don't know the legal classifications exactly, but you know, I
Yeah,
just
no, I definitely
I'm
get
a
it.
bigger malt guy anyways.
Yeah, I like my bourbons, but if we're being honest, they don't differ that much. They differ a lot in
Mhm.
some ways, but the bourbon category is pretty mainstream of that nice, sweet, dark flavors with a little bit of like red fruit as a typical bourbon profile. So, but you don't have
Getting
much
into
time.
this. Yeah. Oh shit, I just realized it's we got like 10 minutes. Okay. Uh what's your thoughts on this one?
It smells great. I mean,
This is
it smells more in the bourbon category. It definitely has some darker notes on it. I'm getting like a red fruit on the nose, a little bit of like a more of an oak aspect in here as well. I want to say that breadiness is coming through just a little bit, but my perception of breadiness, I don't know if everyone thinks that's what the same breadiness is, but the note that I'm getting in here is something that I perceive as breadiness, or maybe like pastry esque.
Yeah, I would say it's more of like crusty-ish. Like I don't
Right.
know. I get the breadiness, but it's not the inside of the bread. It's a crispy
Uh
crust
huh.
on the outside of the bread. It's like
Yeah.
that crunchy thick part. It's like like the ends of your pizza.
Right. I want to say there's also like a bit of a peanutty note in this, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah, slightly nuttiness.
Yep. And then on the palate, I've been drinking a little bit, but I'm gonna go in for one more sip and try to pull something together here.
Oh man, that is peaches. Heavy peaches about mid palate and it just takes
Oh
over
yeah.
everything. All I
The
see is a
palate,
booty emoji.
the palate almost feels. I don't want to say astringent, but there's a lot of oak on the back
Mhm.
end. It makes your tongue. It kind of saps the moisture from your tongue. But I can see what
It's
you're
a
saying
little
with that
drying.
peaches.
It's drying. It's a little on the. It's a little too hot. It's a little drying, and it's a very aggressive pour, especially when we've been kind of softballing all night.
Yeah, for sure. But
Comparatively,
still very, very
yeah.
nice.
With that
That oak
intensity,
is coming back.
yeah, that intensity though, that like intensity that's kind of being drying and a little bit hot, like it has so much more explosive flavor too.
Yeah, no, it's just like in the opposite way of single malts and Scotch. Bourbon is very much not all of them, but a lot of them are very much flash in the pan. Like it's like, oh, this smells great, and then you taste it, and it's like, boom, look at all these flavors, and then after
Mhm.
that, it's kind of like, well, that was exciting. So now what?
Yeah, there's
Whereas Scotch, you can kind of like go through this journey and definitely kind of explore it more, if that makes sense. Um, for me anyway, because I've had so much bourbon and so little Scotch, but
I would say, yeah, it might be that because I've also had more bourbon than Scotch in my entire career and whatnot. But like,
yep,
what I will say, the American single malts or American malts we just went through, I think they had a little bit more evolution. Given we didn't drink
complexity,
anything at this high proof and this intensity
right?
previously, but like I do think they had for the intensity of the whiskey, think they had more of an evolution, more of a kind of not mouthfeel, but
Yeah, just
experience almost.
a story to tell, you know?
Yeah, Jeff. I hate that when you get something where it's like I could live in this nose and you drink the palate and it's like nonsense water and it's like what the heck?
I hate that. That's the worst.
Ooh, just home with a Parker's in hand. Set 174.99. That's a great price for Parker's.
It is. I don't know how I got this for 170. It honestly might have been 175 because I know
Mhm.
175 is MSRP, but if this is the one you got, be prepared to be blown away.
Is that a
Very
bourbon?
good. It is. It's a double barreled bourbon. It's got a 13-year-old that is double barreled, so it's 13 years old. Put in a new barrel at a level 3 char for about 4 months, and then it's blended with a 15-year-old bourbon. So it's
Ooh,
132.2 proof.
that's a spicy double barreled. I've never seen anything that hot for a double
Yeah.
barrel product.
Honestly, we'll do this again, and
Yeah.
I'll send you some of this really good stuff because the Old Fitz is really interesting too. 19-year-old bourbon distilled in 2003. It's think about that for a second. It's wild.
What? I don't have too many hitters, but I can continue sending some quality American single malts as well as some. I mean, I have a Wild Turkey 101 bottled or Wild Turkey bottled and bond 17-year-old. But
Oh yeah.
like, not gonna lie, there's not much left in there. I had that bottle before I started the channel, and I've been kind of like trying not to drink all of it, but you
I
know,
know.
it's been
This
two
is
and
a
a half years.
Barai finished in rye
Mhm.
barrels. The newest Master's Keep. It's
Yeah,
very nice. Very good. Very fun to kind of like
yeah.
pick apart. But honestly, no worries. Like I got these whiskeys because I liked them and I wanted them, but also one of the best parts is sharing them with people. But
Ooh, I have a Ardbeg bottle that's like Ardbeg 10, but if you added proof to it, I'll send you that
oh
next
really?
time.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Good
kinda.
deal.
I mean, it's not a direct comparison, but so we gotta close this out within the next 5 minutes because I gotta drive to the airport. That being said, what are your thoughts on this bottle? So this is Iron Root Harbinger. So you've officially had some Texas Iron Root whiskey. This is the Harbinger Tri-Blended Solstice Edition, which is it's 3 barrels of their Harbinger bourbon that they excuse me. Yeah, man, getting kind of burpy. YouTube watch. What did you just post? But yeah, so they oh, okay, my bad. Sorry. Anytime someone posts a link in chat, I always think it's like inappropriate for some reason. You go carry on, Peter White. Sorry, I was like, are you posting like inappropriate stuff? Because it's always that whole like, do you want to see underage hotties or something like that? And it's like, no, not a single soul wants to see that, buddy.
No.
No,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want
The
to
bots.
watch.
I got attacked by bots yesterday on the stream,
Yeah.
so I feel.
But okay, sorry, to get back to the actual topic at hand. So this is basically they take 3 barrels of their Harbinger at different points in like the year, and they blend them together to create these blending expressions. So this is kind of like it's a limited edition proofed up version of their Harbinger bourbon.
Sure.
And it's so the normal stuff is 115 and this stuff is 125.2.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that definitely makes sense, kind of the proof coming through and kind of sapping the moisture out of my mouth. It's very good. It is very good.
It's a little hot though, comparatively. Like I had it with a bunch of their stuff and it is killer. But going from like, I feel like I might have planned this a little bit too like very easy and then at the end there. Yeah. I wanted you to try something new and I was like, I didn't really want to do nothing but like malts or scotch because I didn't really want to get into smoky stuff with you or anything just yet. Because honestly, I'm kind of over the whole like everything needs to be peated train or like everything's smoky. I'm just kind of like I like smoke here or there, but like man, I'm really starting to enjoy like the finished scotches or the finished American single malts or just American single malts in general. But I was like, I knew you didn't have any Harbinger Iron Root, so
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was really good. So in terms of Iron Root stuff, where does the Harbinger place for you? Is it like you're one up there from Iron Root, or is it what is their Iron Root Harbinger in terms for you?
So they don't have too many products, so it's kind of hard, but I would say this is somewhere in the middle for me. Okay. I like their Hubris, which is their 100% corn whiskey, a little bit better. Or I think it's 100% corn whiskey. I could be wrong, but I like the Hubris a little bit better because I think it's softer and has a little bit more going on because it doesn't get so spicy and astringent, I guess. And then, but as far as their Harbingers of what I've had, which has been, I mean, I have a boatload of samples, which is freaking awesome. And I've tried a bunch of them, but of like the 2 bottles I have over the normal Harbinger and this, I like this one much better. I think this has much going on. It is a little drying though, a little bit drying.
You know, that happens. I personally really love a good oak, and occasionally I drink some dry wines. So dry, a little bit of tongue sappingness isn't a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
But before we wrap this up, I'll kind of, I don't know if you were going to ask me this or not, but I'll give my top opinions and overalls of these. So while the Iron Root was very good, and I'm glad that I got to try it, I really, really, really like this Westland. It was probably my favorite, honestly. The evolution of it, on point. I really liked the kind of like sweet and then malty and then chocolate in the back end. I've never had anything like that, and it was very interesting to try. Iron Root Harbinger, I would say second place. Just a classic bourbon nerd in me. I really enjoy bourbon profile. So like profile stands, the Iron Root, it did its thing. Now the Brook Lottie, very interesting and very fun for me to drink, and very good too. It comes in third place, but not because it was worse than either of these two, just because from a pure palate perspective, I just like the taste of like a bourbon. Not necessarily better, but just I'm used to it more, so that's why I put Harbinger above it, but still very good. And then last place for me personally, Barrel. I forgot what the
Yeah,
actual
the
name.
barrel vatted malt.
Vatted malt, yeah. Interesting, super interesting. If you guys want something that's super interesting, that's the one for you. But it's definitely not the one that I would reach for, if that makes sense. But it's so weird, but it is good. It is good, and I think with the right kind of food or pairing or something, that bottle would really shine. So overall, that's my consensus. If that helps.
I think it gets weird just because of that mesquite smoke. Like even for me, I mean I'm designed this, I made these flights, I've had all these bottles before, but I haven't had that in like a hot minute because it sits on my top shelf because well, barrel's a little bit on the pricey end and I don't want to constantly drink it out of habit.
And if
But
you go, I went off of this Harbinger and I went back to the nose of the barrel and I honestly smelt a smoked ham.
Ooh.
Like a smoked ham. And it was really good too. Like in a really good way.
Yeah. I like that. Like yeah, because there's that slight sweetness in there. It's not exactly a honey baked ham, but ham in itself is kind of like a sweeter meat.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Man, I like that note. That note is like you see, and okay, well, she's still packing. We'll be okay. So when you're it's bear with me one moment.
Yeah, honey baked ham, or not honey baked ham, but just a smoked ham. That I guess that mesquite smoke comes across. So
yeah. Okay. So here, well, I'll say this really quickly because I gotta go. So when you were talking about you and Lauren, how like she'll pick out notes you don't pick out notes of.
yeah,
I just think that's having like a partner or having a different outside perspective of things too. Though, just because like there's certain things that like someone picks out that you don't pick out, because sometimes if you try to pull out notes, you're not going to pull out anything other than like, oh, that's like cherry forward. It's a little, or like generalities. But sometimes you'll go back to things and be like, honey baked ham, bitch. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what that is. That
absolutely
totally works.
That's so fun. It's one of the funnest parts about whiskey, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Jeff, no worries. You are welcome to stay as off topic as you want in chat. You guys communicate, have fun and whatever. That being said, that is the end of today's stream because I do have to head out. Thank you, Holden, for coming in. Any closing words before we head out?
This was really fun, honestly. Like, great experience. And guys, make sure you stay tuned because Steven's gonna get some stuff from me by probably next either Monday or Tuesday. So it won't be this next live stream, but maybe 2 weeks from now, we'll be doing this again on my live stream with some stuff for Steven. But this was super fun. I really liked the stuff that Steve sent me. And yeah, thanks guys for being here. And thank you for having me, Steve. This was great. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, it's been a great time. So thank y'all for coming in, hanging out. We will see you guys next week. Cheers. We'll see you later.